Okay. First question will come from Rick Stroud.
Yeah.
Hey Liam, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Seems like we ask this a lot, but when you see, and I don't know what his status is going to be, when you see the production of Bucky, is it just more of a temptation to get him on the field sooner, get him more touches? I know there's limitations, maybe the passing, but like, hard to get two guys going, right? But how do you
Yeah.
not ignore that?
Oh yeah, it's hard to ignore. I mean, he touches the ball and typically some good things have occurred. So
Yeah,
that's why we've in that last game tried to get him, the ball and try to get
yeah,
him the ball in space and dial some things up for him that not a lot of other guys are doing, right? And you can
yeah.
get him a little bit of an end around type deal, a couple end arounds. He's just continuing to get better and better. And his role will continue to go as he goes. And it's as
Yeah.
much as he keeps producing and he keeps doing all the right things like he has been, the more and more he'll get.
Thanks, Coach.
Mhm.
Generally,
Hey, Coach, hope you're doing well and you guys feel safe and everything with the storm coming since I don't believe you've experienced one down here before.
No, I have not.
You'll be okay, I promise.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, everything should be okay. But my question, I'd ask you something about Mike, similar to this, Mike Evans. But with Chris, what was the biggest surprise that you kind of experienced since you started working with him? What was something about him that maybe you didn't realize was as
Yeah.
good as it is?
I don't know if watching last year's tape, I've always known and heard of Chris and the respect, the competitor, the toughness, the way he plays the game. I don't think I thought he was as sudden as he was. And, like some of the little subtleties of route running, his ability to double people up at times and create separation. I wouldn't say, I don't know if a lot of people would say he's like an ultra fast guy, but within his role and in short spaces, he knows how to get open. He knows how to create space. He knows how to attack leverage. So I think I probably underestimated maybe some of his maybe the nuances of just being able to get open and the quick twitch that he does show and display at times. And I think he's just feeling a lot better this year. I think he's healthier. He's feeling better. He's feeling more balanced. So that and all the other stuff is proven to be true. Everything else I had heard about him.
Thank you.
if media have questions, please raise your hand. We'll go to River Wells.
Hi, Liam. I did have a question. When you talked about at the beginning of the year your philosophy, you mentioned players over plays, and Mike Evans has been a little bit slow to get going after that Washington game where he had a few touchdowns. What is your
Yeah.
plan going forward to make sure that, being one of the best receivers in the NFL, that he can stay in your game plan and get going early?
Yeah, I mean the second play of the game was designed to go to him, and we ended up kind of missing that one. And you tried to get him involved early by calling a play for him on the second play of the game, and things happen. We weren't in rhythm. We were a little bit, like Baker mentioned, a little fast at times getting out of the pocket and some things, so we did end up missing him a little bit. But we just got to continue to be diligent about moving him around, getting him in positions that they can't double him. And also, we've got to be on time and in rhythm to be able to throw them the football. I mean, things move fast in this league. Defenses are smart. They know how to take some of your best players away, but we've got to do a better job of continuing to get them involved. And when you usually get them involved early, things are better for Mike.
Rick Stroud.
Hey Liam, last week I think maybe for the first time we saw I think Baker was kind of a little too fast, kind of bailing maybe before, maybe not seeing the whole field. I know Mike, he had Mike on a corner one time, he checked it down, but beyond that, we saw what he could do with his feet. Is the lack of trust in his protection kind of affecting him in that game?
I don't know if it was that, Rick. I think it was a little bit more like he had come off of 2 weeks of making plays with his feet. I think what we talked about in our room when we watched the tape, there was often times he was moving before he had caught the ball in the shotgun snap. So he's moving before he catches the ball. So then when he gets to the top of his drop, the wideouts are at like 6 yards and he's ready to throw.
Yeah.
So what he said was very accurate, was that he was just a little sped up. And I don't know if that was because of a lack of trust. I think he trusts those guys. I think it was just one of those days, man, where he was just a little bit fed and a little bit sped up. And so you look
Gotcha.
at the second play of the game where, we've got Mike on an out cut there, and then
Yeah.
his feet are a little bit too quick. So then he ends up bailing on the pocket a little, and there's throws there that,
Yeah.
sometimes that can happen. And I think when you're juiced up, you're excited, you've come off 2 games of making plays with your legs, maybe you're anticipating more of a rush, and that didn't occur. Where, we did protect in some ways better than we had. And I think it was just like he was anticipating something and it didn't occur. And we ended up missing some opportunities.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah.
Evan Klosky.
Hey, Liam, to the same vein of kind of the Mike Evans question, but with Jalen, he's out there a lot, plays a lot of snaps. How do you get him going and involved in this offense and kind of, make this three-headed monster between him, Mike, and Chris?
Yeah, I think that Jalen had some ops on Sunday. I don't know if there was a few ops on Sunday that, again, it was a very similar situation where we just, we either bailed out of the pocket or we progressed off of him on a few reads, 2 of them on our left sideline on outcuts, and then 1 in the second half on an outcut. So really, he should have had at least 3 catches on Sunday, but it just didn't work out that way. And we know that we need to get him involved. He also needs to practice, always the right way and be consistent and his habits and the way he's doing things. I thought he took a step in the right direction on Sunday in terms of the speed at which he played and getting open. And you put that stuff on tape and the quarterback sees it and there's a trust level. And, ultimately Baker understands kind of what occurred on Sunday. And, we can't play like that and expect to go win a game.
John Romano.
Hey, Liam, it's easy afterward to look at the stat sheet and say Mike Evans should have gotten more targets. But during the game, how much does that actually come up in your mind? I mean, with the flow of the offense and game situations and all that, do you even think about things like that as the game progresses?
Yeah, you do. It was such a weird game, right? They go down and score. We get the ball, go 3 and out where we, missed them, on the second play where, you feel like you're getting them a target. Then we come back on the next drive, throw an interception. And on our 9th play of the game, we're down 14-0. And so you're trying not to just like bail out of the game plan and just start chucking it. But then when we were on earned first downs, running the ball for a yard or 2, well, now we're in 2nd and long again. Those coverages on 2nd and long aren't easy to just say we're going to get one person the ball. Like, it's hard to do. So coverages obviously dictate some things. I'm definitely cognizant of it. But at that point in the game, with the way things were going, I was really just trying to get Baker into a rhythm. I wasn't as much more thinking about, Mike Evans or whoever, those people. I was trying to get our quarterback, hey, settle in, get him some completions and try to settle things in without just saying we're going to go throw it every snap. That was probably not going to be smart on our part.
Evan
Thank you.
Winter.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. So Dan Orlovsky made an interesting comment on ESPN yesterday about a reason why the running game's not getting where it needs to be going is because guys are, quote unquote, getting beat across their face. And when watching the tape, you kind of notice there's a bit more success when running gap compared to zone. Obviously, that's to the untrained eye.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know if you're noticing the same thing, but
Yeah.
are you noticing something like that? And does that lead more of a tendency to lean into one as opposed to the other going forward, or kind of how do you get that
Yeah.
going?
Yeah, that's I think if you saw Sunday, first run of the game, we don't really get the zone moving. Like we're not running off the ball like we've done since we arrived here. Everything we've preached is running off the ball and running and trying to create movement And we didn't do that. We kind of reverted back to some poor habits at times on Sunday at multiple different positions. And I've got to do a better job of, okay, being smart about where we call runs and where we call passes to give our guys a chance. But no, that's a valid point. We definitely have looked into, hey, how can we create a balance between the gap and the zone? These guys have been good at gap as well, in the past at times. So it's definitely something we're going to try to find a balance of. Those guys last week played a little bit more 5 down front. The gap hit with Bucky out the back door. We needed to probably get to some more gap schemes last week.
We have time for 2 more. We'll go with JC Allen and then finish with Jenna Lee.
Hey, Coach, kind of piggybacking off of that, it seems like Bucky's got some more of those opportunities in gap than Rashad has. Just looks like he's seen a little bit more zone throughout, which kind of struggle. Maybe hit the cutback a little bit too early. Can you just kind of speak to the offensive line as a whole and kind of what you're seeing on what kind of plays you're calling for Rashad versus what kind of plays you're calling for Bucky, and then just kind of the development of Graham?
Yeah, I think that we weren't coming off the rock Sunday very much. I don't think we moved the line of I don't think the line of scrimmage was played on their side very often. I thought we did some things, and we ran a good, Rashad had a good outside zone to our right before we set up Bucky's touchdown. That was like an 8 or 9 yard gain on the right side that we blocked up well. But our thought going into the game was to try to run mid zone. And when your lead back is in, you're trying to get those runs going to see if they can have any success. And they didn't end up having much success. And it just so happened that when Bucky was in, we ended up running a couple gap schemes, but it wasn't really specific to him. Although Bucky has had more experience with gap in his, prior, experience at Oregon. So that's something he's been a little bit more comfortable with. Whereas Rashad has been able to, when we do run zone well, ride the wave and be able to do some things that way. So it's just finding a balance. Like, we're still trying to obviously find the identity. There's flashes, there's good things. We did not put enough together on Sunday in order to win that game because of both the run and the pass. So I can't really put it on either group. And Graham, he just continues to get better, right? He's playing at a pretty high level right now. He's doing some really good things. We've got to continue that growth. The communication, just making sure everybody's on the same page, doing all the right things. But I think he's playing fast. Like, he is playing pretty fast at times. We just got to continue to get better, but I've been pleased with him.
Last question from Jenna Lee.
Hey, Lee, I'm just circling back on Godwin again. I'm curious if there was kind of a play or an aha moment for you that really just, excited you about working with him, or showed you some of the things that you talked about in that first answer, kind of that quick twitch thing, or even one of the touchdowns that he maybe had this year already that maybe really excited you.
Yeah, I think honestly, one of the first plays of training camp, he caught a sail route on our right side, on the right sideline, that he showed a good burst on that I hadn't really quite seen, because you're going full speed in mini camp OTAs, but you're really, it's different. So that was something that I was like, oh shoot, he looked like he had a burst there. And then you look at some of the screens that he's been successful on, this season so far. And going to the Washington game, the one that got called back on Trey's penalty, and then the one that he catches for the 3rd and XL that he converted on. I guess I hadn't seen that from him quite yet. Like, I hadn't seen a guy catch the ball at the line of scrimmage essentially and pierce the defense, and people not really be able to tackle him. Arm tackles, he's stronger than you think. And God, he's had a lot of production so far and some screens for us. So really, the one on Sunday could have almost gotten out, the one that we had on the left side. So he's just playing at a high level right now, and I'm really proud of him.
All right. Thanks, Coach. That'll be all.
Thank you, guys.